General Hospital spoilers tease that Liz has returned after undergoing a challenging and painful recovery from a car accident, an arduous journey she endured over several weeks at Port Charles General Hospital. Her external wounds are slowly healing, and the physical pain is subsiding, but deep psychological scars remain, especially the hazy, fragmented memories of that fateful night. Liz's return brought joy and relief to her sons, Cameron, Jake, and Aiden, who had faced the terrifying possibility of losing their mother. Lucky, her first love and now her primary caregiver, transformed her home into a warm and safe haven. He rearranged the furniture to help her move more easily with crutches and even decorated the living room with drawings made by the boys during her hospital stay. But the real story is beginning to explode around the mystery of what caused the accident. The official police report concluded it was just a typical accident. Rick lost control on a rain-slicked road, but several inconsistencies are beginning to surface. Unusual skid marks at the scene. Debris from a second vehicle not mentioned in the report, and most disturbingly, the disappearance of a key witness's statement. With the instincts of a former cop, Lucky has quietly begun his own investigation, keeping it secret from Liz to avoid adding more stress to her recovery. His suspicions grow each time Liz reacts with panic when the accident is mentioned, the flicker of fear in her eyes, the way she unconsciously touches the scar on her forehead. And especially the violent nightmares she experiences almost every night. In those nightmares, Liz often screams about headlights and a black car, details never included in the official report. When Lucky gently questions her about these memories in the morning, she becomes confused and insists they're just dreams. But Lucky sees real fear in her eyes, the fear of someone trying to convince themselves their memories aren't real. Things become even more complicated when Epiphany, who cared for Liz in the hospital, privately tells Lucky that in the early days after the accident, when Liz was still unconscious, she mumbled repeatedly about a black car and a man in the shadows. Epiphany had recorded those statements in her nursing notes, but mysteriously, they later vanished from Liz's medical file. When she inquired, she was told it was just a system error and nothing to worry about. But with over 20 years of experience at General Hospital, Epiphany knew better. Someone had deliberately erased that information. As the investigation grows more tangled, Dante, the official detective assigned to the case, is suddenly ordered by his superiors to halt all further inquiries. Though reluctant, he complies, but secretly warns Lucky about the strange interference. In a clandestine meeting at the docks, Dante reveals the order came from none other than Mayor Laura Collins, Lucky's own mother, a detail that leaves both men shocked and uneasy. Laura has always stood for integrity and justice. Why would she want to stop an investigation involving a longtime family friend like Liz? When Lucky confronts Laura, she uncharacteristically dodges the questions, claiming she's merely following advice from higher authorities. When pressed, she deflects by asking about Liz's health and the boys, a tactic she rarely uses with her son. This only fuels Lucky's determination to uncover the truth, even if it means going against his own mother. Meanwhile, Rick, still in recovery at a rehab facility outside Port Charles, seems to be suffering from serious memory issues, or so everyone has been told. No one is allowed to see him except for a hand-picked group of doctors. All requests from Lucky and Liz have been denied under the excuse of unstable medical condition. The situation escalates when Molly, Rick's sister and a lawyer, is also barred from visiting him, a clear violation of both their legal rights. Unwilling to accept these denials, Molly begins legal proceedings to gain access to her brother, only to run into a wall of red tape. Petitions are delayed, hearings postponed, and vague warnings from court officials suggest it would be in the family's best interest to drop the case. When Molly confides in Lucky, the two begin to suspect that something much larger is at play, a coordinated cover-up involving multiple levels of government and the healthcare system. Desperate for answers, Lucky convinces Spinelli, his longtime friend and a genius hacker, to help him access the rehab facility's system. What they discover is shocking. There's no record of Rick Lansing at the facility. Instead, a patient admitted on the same day under the name Richard Smith, clearly a pseudonym, has a file marked top secret and encrypted with multiple layers of security. Even Spinelli needs time to crack it. When they finally gain access, what they find leaves them stunned. Rick is not only being treated for physical injuries, but he is also undergoing a form of experimental therapy, involving memory modification, a vague term with no further explanation. The daily progress notes mention successful removal of targeted memories and implantation of substitute memories, with annotations that the patient is responding positively to treatment. Attached to the file are directives from an unidentified government agency, authorizing the therapy and demanding absolute confidentiality. As Lucky and Spinelli attempt to make sense of what they've found, they realize someone is tracking their breach. Spinelli quickly disconnects. But they both know they may have triggered security alarms. They must act fast before whoever is behind this plot discovers the breach. Meanwhile, back at Liz's house, her memories of the night of the accident begin returning. At first, just fragments, blinding headlights, screeching brakes, the dizzying spin as the car lost control. But soon, a clearer picture forms. In a moment of clarity, Liz remembers that Rick had been telling her about a file he had just discovered, a file related to a secret project called Project Illumination. Rick, a lawyer with deep connections, stumbled upon the project while representing a client in an environmental lawsuit. What he found deeply disturbed him, and he decided to share the information with Liz on the way to a safe location where they could talk further. The last thing Liz remembers before the crash is a black SUV with tinted windows suddenly appearing behind them, headlights glaring, forcing Rick's car off the road. It wasn't an accident, it was a deliberate attack, an attempt to silence Rick before he could reveal what he had learned about Project Illumination. As these memories flood back, Liz is gripped by a wave of panic, not just because of what she remembers, but because she realizes she's in danger. If the accident was an attempt to silence Rick, and if those behind it are erasing his memories to keep him from talking, they certainly wouldn't want Liz remembering the truth either. With trembling hands, Liz calls Lucky, but the call is suddenly cut off. When she looks out the window, she sees a familiar black SUV parked across the street. Two men in black stare directly at her house. Terror engulfs her as she realizes, they've found her. And this time, she's alone, without Rick or Lucky to protect her. Who is trying to control the narrative around the accident? Why are they so desperate to bury the truth? And what is Project Illumination, the secret that Rick was willing to risk everything to reveal? As Liz faces an immediate threat, Lucky and Spinelli race against time to uncover the truth and protect those they love before it's too late. And at the center of it all lies the most troubling question. If Mayor Laura Collins, one of the most principled people in Port Charles, is involved in the cover-up, who else might be, and how far are they willing to go to keep their secrets buried? Jake and Cameron return and reclaim their newfound rights, an unexpected turn of events after they left Port Charles to pursue their studies at boarding school. Their sudden appearance is not only an emotional family reunion with their recovering mother Elizabeth, but also a powerful statement that they will not stand by while their family is in danger. With Cameron now an adult and a sharp legal mind since his freshman year of college, he notices the irregularities in his mother's official accident report. Jake, with the instincts he inherited from his biological father Jason Morgan, quickly discovers the secret surveillance going on around their home. The brothers decide that it is time to stand up for their mother and reclaim their right to know the truth about what really happened that fateful night. One of the new changes. The new explosion is increasingly swallowing the ideas Jake is facing Jason as Jason takes new drastic actions to protect Christina. The father-son meeting takes place in tension at the docks, where Jake goes to Jason to ask for help in protecting Elizabeth, only to discover that Jason is busy with another mission, stopping the threat targeting Christina related to the mysterious organization, Project Illumination. Jake, frustrated and angry, accuses Jason of once again putting the Corinthos family above his own son and that son's mother. Jason, caught between two obligations, tries to explain that things are more complicated than they seem, that the threat to Christina and Elizabeth may come from the same source. And that protecting Christina may be the key to understanding and stopping the danger that threatens Elizabeth. This confrontation takes on new dark undertones as Jake, not accepting Jason's explanation, decides to take matters into his own hands. With the help of Cameron and the tech skills he learned from Spinelli years ago, Jake begins tracking the mysterious black SUVs that are surveilling their home. What they discover leads them to an abandoned warehouse in the port area, where they stumble upon an exchange between two men dressed in black and a familiar figure, Mayor Laura Collins, Jake's own grandmother. The exchange is brief but tense, with Laura seemingly warning the men to cause no more harm and hold up to the original agreement. As Laura leaves, Jake secretly takes photos of the men and their license plates, determined to get to the bottom of the conspiracy that seems to have drawn in his own family. But as one of the new shocks of control takes hold, a new crazy shock is unleashed when Jake and Cameron discover that they are not the only ones investigating the case. While tracking the mysterious men, they cross paths with Molly, who is also tracking the same suspects as them in an attempt to find the truth about the fate of her brother, Rick. Their initially tense encounter of mutual suspicion quickly turns into an alliance as they realize they are both searching for pieces of the same puzzle. Molly shares with the brothers information about Rick's imprisonment and possible memory manipulation, while Jake and Cameron reveal Laura's mysterious involvement and possible connection to Project Illumination. As the three young people join forces, they begin to unravel a conspiracy far larger than they ever imagined, one that involves the highest levels of the Port Charles government, secret organizations, and possibly even national intelligence agencies. And at the center of it all is a secret that Rick has apparently uncovered, a secret dangerous enough to make powerful people willing to kill, erase memories, and tear apart families to keep it secret. As Jake, Cameron, and Molly get closer to the truth, they don't realize that they're putting themselves in mortal danger, and that the people they trust most, including Laura and possibly Jason, may not be on their side in the coming battle. Liz has a new mission on her hands, as memories of the accident slowly come back to her. No longer a passive victim waiting to be protected, Liz has decided to confront the mystery surrounding her accident head-on, despite her physical and mental pain. She begins her own investigation, using her long-standing connections at the hospital to access missing medical records, secretly contacting former police colleagues to find information about suspect vehicles, and even venturing back to the accident scene late at night when no one is looking. Each piece of the puzzle she finds leads her closer to the truth about Project Illumination, the project Rick tried to expose before they were attacked. One of the explosive new reckonings is proving to be a new twist on the story as Liz discovers that Project Illumination is not simply a secret government project, but is directly tied to the history of Port Charles itself, through documents she finds in the hospital's storage room. Liz discovers that the Illumination is the codename for a series of experiments that have been conducted at a secret underground facility in Port Charles since the 1980s, experiments that involve mind control, memory erasure, and the implantation of false memories. Many current Port Charles residents, including some Liz knows, were involuntary subjects in these experiments. And it seems that the project never really ended, but merely moved into a new, more sophisticated phase. But things are getting crazier and crazier as Liz discovers that she's actually getting crazy with Lucky and Jason. As both men in her life, her ex-husband and her ex-lover, attempt to protect her in their own ways, Liz feels suffocated and controlled. Lucky, out of deep love and kindness, tries to keep her safe by keeping her from investigating further, not realizing that this only makes her feel helpless. Jason, with his strong protective instincts, secretly has people following her 24/7, invading the personal space and autonomy she is trying to regain after the accident. When Liz discovers that they are both hiding vital information about Project Illumination from her in the name of her safety, she has a bitter confrontation with them both, insisting that she is not an object to be protected but a strong woman who has the right to know the truth about what happened to her. One of the new madnesses is here, and it's only going to get crazier when Laura Collins, in a shocking twist, shows up at Liz's house late at night, her face strained and her eyes filled with tears. Laura reveals the terrifying truth. she's not the one behind the cover-up as everyone thinks, but another victim of Project Illumination. Years ago, when Laura was held at the Ferncliff facility, she was subjected to mind control experiments, and the people behind the project implanted a trigger in her mind, a tool that allowed them to control her behavior in certain situations. It was for this reason that she ordered the investigation into Liz and Rick's accident to be stopped, not because she wanted to, but because she was forced to. With this revelation, all the pieces of the puzzle begin to fit together. Project Illumination is not just a series of experiments from the past, but a network of control and action. With many Port Charles residents, including some of the most powerful, being manipulated without their knowledge. Rick has discovered this and has attempted to expose the truth, leading to an attack on him and Liz. And now, as Liz, Lucky, Jason, along with Jake, Cameron and Molly slowly uncover the truth, they are all in mortal danger from a secret organization that has the power to control not only government and law enforcement, but also the minds of those they trust most. As Port Charles teeters on the brink of one of the greatest crises in its history, all eyes are on Liz, whose next decision and actions could determine the fate of not only her family, but the entire city. And in this battle between truth and mind control, the biggest question remains: can you trust anyone when you can't be sure their mind is their own? Liz will fight back. But the fight brings new dangers as she takes on the masterminds behind Project Illumination. With the help of her sons, Lucky, Jason, and Laura, Liz has turned the house into a secret command center where information is analyzed and strategies are plotted. She has developed a method to temporarily block the trigger in Laura's mind, allowing the mayor to operate independently enough to extract vital information from the city's classified files. The team has divided up their tasks. Jake and Cameron are in charge of disabling surveillance equipment. Molly is looking for legal loopholes. Lucky uses old connections to identify clean cops. Jason ensures security and escape routes. And Liz and Laura decipher Project Illumination files. Each step is accompanied by increasing danger. Black SUVs appear frequently, phones make strange noises, computers are hacked. Neighbors act strangely. The danger escalates when Aiden, the youngest son at boarding school, texts that special doctors are examining him, despite his perfect health. Jason and Lucky immediately head to the boarding school to get Aiden back to safety. One of the new shocks in store, and one that proves the madness is truly taking a turn, is when they discover that Project Illumination is part of a plan to turn Port Charles into a laboratory city for social control technology. Documents from the mayor's office reveal that many recent urban projects, from security cameras to drinking water systems to cell towers, are designed with hidden features that can be activated remotely to influence the behavior and thoughts of residents. Documents detail nanoparticles in the water supply that can accumulate in the brain and react to radio signals. Directional sound fields in public speaker systems that can trigger specific psychological states, and most terrifying of all, the Light Protocol, a plan to integrate all technology into a comprehensive social control system. The priority control target list includes Laura, Jordan Ashford, Britt Westbourne and even Sonny Corinthos, considered by the project as controlled chaos elements. Those behind the project are preparing for the final phase, a full deployment of mind control technology during the 60th anniversary of Port Charles, where a special light show will be the main activation mechanism. With only 2 weeks left before Activation Day, the team must face not only the powerful secret organization but also the people of Port Charles themselves who have been programmed. The strategy is formed: disable the main control center and prevent the light show. Liz proposes creating a temporary vaccine against nanoparticles. Jake and Cameron develop a device to jam the activation signal. Liz decides that rescuing Rick, who has discovered all this and is being tuned, must be part of the plan. In this seemingly unwinnable battle, Liz becomes a symbol of resistance and hope. Facing the darkness, she learns that she is not alone, and that sometimes, that's all a person needs: light by their side.